you grow up in a township, you grow up poor, lower middle class, and you grow up to become a young man. You want to make the situation better for yourself and for your family. And the more you try, the more difficult it seems. And the more difficult it seems, the more and more you feel as though it's not worth it or you want to give up. And the more you feel or think other people would not understand what you're going through, because you are living within yourself, within your mind, and you really don't think that anyone can understand what you're going through. But the truth of the matter is, so last night I had an overwhelming sense of anxiety. This probably started at around 1 a.m. And yeah, I couldn't shake it off, no matter how hard I tried. I'd fall asleep, and then if I turn and wake up, I would get that feeling again. And when I woke up, I had that feeling still. As I'm making this video, I still have that feeling, but it's going a bit lower now. It's getting a bit better, right? And mainly, the reason I'm having these thoughts or feelings is because thoughts of the future hit me. Thoughts of the future hit me. Me looking at my current situation, and my current situation being my finances, what I've what I've managed to attain as a man at my age, or lack thereof. And also thinking about the fact that, is it going to put me in a better financial situation in future, the life that I'm leading right now, the life that I'm living right now, the career path that I've chosen, is it going to push me towards the right direction, the direction that I want to go to? And I'll just be open about the direction that I want to go to, or rather the future that I'd like to see for myself. For those of you who have followed my channel for a while, you do know that I'm super ambitious, right? And with me being that super ambitious, I was just asking myself, will I find myself in the kind of lifestyle that I want to live, let's say in the next 5 or 10 years, if I continue in the same career path that I'm in right now? And a little bit of me keeps saying, probably not. Maybe, but probably not. And with these thoughts, I also ask myself, if I switch the career path that I've begun, that I've started, which, say it started in 2020, which was during lockdown. So it's only 4 years in now. Is it 2020? It started in 2019 actually. So 4 or 5 years. And as much as I've seen growth, because I can compare to when I started out, I've seen a lot of growth. Okay? And as much as I've seen this lot of growth, I still get hit by doubt. And it had me wondering how many people are going through the same thing. My apologies if the lighting keeps going high and low. I don't know how to control that. I'm shooting with my phone and my skorokoro. Like that. It had me wondering, like, if I switch my career yet again, will this mean that I am giving up, or will this mean that I am just growing? Because I've made videos in the past, actually, probably more than 2 years ago now, where I said giving up is not an option. And I asked myself, if I decide to switch my career, am I essentially giving up, or am I just pivoting? And if I'm just pivoting, if I'm in the next thing that I'm doing, 4 or 5 years in, I see that there's not much growth, am I going to again switch? Am I going to keep doing this over and over again? And some of you may relate to this, some of you may not relate, but think about it this way. When I started out, the thing that I do mainly to feed myself or to live or survive is tattoo artist. I'm a tattooer rather, not a tattoo artist. I'm a tattooer. The difference is that I may design some tattoos here and there sometimes, but I do pre-designed tattoos mostly. And here and there, I'll get a spout of creativity and I'll do my own creative work. Tattoo artists, they can create a tattoo from their mind and put it on a person's skin. That's my simple definition of it. Over the years, I think I've gotten somewhat good enough to say that I can compete on the broader market in the country. Still not the best tattooer that I could be. I think I could be much better than I am now. But the issue for me is that, okay, I'm practicing, I'm trying to get good, as good as I possibly can get, trying to get better with this work, but it's not getting to the level that I think it should get to in order for me to sort of get at least a quarter way to the finances that I would like to get to in future. Because I know some wealthy tattoo artists here in the country. Let's call them wealthy, but obviously, if you are someone who wants to be a multi-millionaire, which is me, and yes, you may call it vanity or whatever you want, someone who wants to be a multi-millionaire, it's probably not going to happen as a tattoo artist. Unless I'm a tattoo artist and then there's something that I am selling that is commercial enough to not just be sold to people who are tattoo fans, which is why in 2022 I was doing TBT Nature's Touch, which were skin products, essentially natural skincare products, and that business failed because I didn't have the finances for it, and the little bit of money that I made from that business I chowed, which is why last year I started another business which is called Skoon, and Skoon essentially is an Afrikaans word for clean, and it was a detergent business. That business failed as well because I didn't have the money to push that business. And branding it probably was a mistake as well. I should have probably just sold detergents and cleaning products without naming them. Maybe I should try it again. I don't know. But essentially why I did these businesses is because I'm just trying to figure out a way for me to actually get wealthy. Absolutely wealthy, like outrageously wealthy, especially for a black person in South Africa who started out from nothing, which is very difficult as a black person to actually reach that kind of wealth without assistance from connections such as connections within government or striking luck. And unfortunately, I don't think that I'm very lucky. I'm one of the few people that I think we're not very lucky. We just keep pushing because thoughts of giving up, they're quite scary sometimes, you know. Yesterday during the day, my thoughts were not just giving up. They were not just change my business, like start something else. While I'm still in this one, start something else and see where it goes. The thoughts were more of, fuck, why am I alive? I've had these thoughts before when I was younger. Excuse me. I've had these thoughts before when I was younger. Oh. And during that time when I was younger, when I had these thoughts, I didn't have a way to deal with these thoughts and emotions. You know? Because I would dwell in that thought, I would dwell in that emotion, and I would almost try to make it happen, to unalive myself. And yesterday when I had that thought, why am I still alive? It had me a little bit worried about myself. It had me worried in the sense that after so many years, I used to think that, you know, I've dealt with having these kind of thoughts and I wouldn't be having these thoughts again. But I guess I'm human and they're happening again. And luckily for me, I'm able to move from that negative thought to something that will, I should put it in a way, it will calm me down. And that's what I was able to do. But that thought was still lingering. And I guess I did go to bed with that thought still lingering in my mind to the point that I woke up with it and thought of doing this video. And it had me also thinking, as much as I'm worried about myself, I am very much aware that there's so many young men out there within my own family, I believe, and a lot more out there who are suffering in silence, emotionally and mentally. And the older you get, the worse it gets. The older you get, the worse it gets. And I think because societally, there's the pressure that you should have reached a certain level of success or reaching towards that success as a young man. And I think this is where you see things such as midlife crisis, which is something that is typically seen in men, and the suicide rate of men being so high, especially at a certain age between 45 and 60. And of course, younger than that as well. And I'm thinking to myself, why don't we as young men, older men, sort of in a way come together and build communities where we are able to deal with these things? And for us men, I think talking is not the best solution, because as much as I can talk about these things that I feel no relief after talking about it. I've done counseling, which is a form of, you could call it therapy. And I remember when doing that, the more I spoke about what I was going through, the more I spoke about how difficult things were for me, mentally, especially at that time, the more I felt it, the worse it became for me. And when I sort of uprooted myself from doing therapy and I started just grinding, just hustling really hard, it got better. It got really good. In fact, I was like, oh, I think I've healed myself. But new challenges always come by in life, and you will start noticing that, okay, now I've got a new problem that I have to deal with. And then I think about, wealthy people who were famous and still took themselves out. You're like, I'm thinking if I reach that guy's level of success financially, maybe fame if you want fame, then I will have no problems in life. But there is that person who's done the thing that you are thinking about doing to yourself right now, because your situation is hard, right? And you are thinking their situation is much better. What if it happens that these thoughts and feelings that I'm feeling right now, once I've reached this level or this place that my ambition wants to go, what if it happens that it's not enough? What else from there? Where do I go? You know what I mean? And this probably happens to guys who are older. Maybe you can have a conversation about this and talk to us. But there's a lot of young men out there. I'm part of these lot of young men out there who are going through tough times, and they're going through these tough times in silence, in different levels, in different ways. And I'm not going to come here and tell you that if you are richer than me, you have better finances than me, then you have no reason to say that you have struggles. No, I cannot say that, because I think about the time where my situation financially was worse than where I am now. Because where I am right now, for most people, that's where they want to be, at least. So I'm thinking about the fact that there's times where it was worse, and I had the problems from that time. I'm in this time right now, and I have the problems that I have right now. So probably when I reach that higher level financially, there will be problems that are at that level. I don't know what they are, but they will be there. And I will suffer in silence again, as much as there's so many other people who are suffering in silence. And in this silence, we tend not to know where to turn or whom to turn to. You know what I mean? So, in my attempt to keep working on these things on myself, because I've found a trick on helping myself to get out of that mind state and be better or feel better. I think there's so many other people out there who are unable to do that, unfortunately for them. And they need voices like myself and other people to let them know that it's normal for them to go through that. It's absolutely normal. And it's actually possible to deal with those emotions or those feelings. And even when you are going through them, do not judge yourself too much, you know. It's natural. If it's not natural, then I guess it happens to the best of us. And for most of us men, let me speak specifically to black men and probably colored men as well, because our situations are similar. You grow up in a township, you grow up poor, lower middle class, and you grow up to become a young man. You want to make the situation better for yourself and for your family. And the more you try, the more difficult it seems. And the more difficult it seems, the more and more you feel as though it's not worth it or you want to give up. And the more you feel or think other people would not understand what you're going through, because you are living within yourself, within your mind, and you really don't think that anyone can understand what you're going through. But the truth of the matter is, which I wish there was someone to tell me this 7, 10 years ago. The truth of the matter is what you're going through. You're not the only one who's going through that. You're not the only one who will ever go through that. There's so many people who have, there's so many people who will and who are going through what you're going through. So stay strong, but not only staying strong, be able to find ways to deal with those emotions, those thoughts that are so dark. And I think build communities, build friend groups of like-minded people, so that at least in that group, 1 or 2 people, it doesn't have to be all of them, you can trust them enough to actually divulge this information or these feelings to them. And you might find that these people can be able to help you because they've been through it or they're going through it. And in a sense, you will be able to help each other. Because you can't do it with just listening to people on YouTube like myself. You need people around you. And the less people you have around you, the higher the chances of those dark thoughts actually consuming you. Yeah, I'm done for now. I'll share my thoughts over time in topics like this. If you're interested in those, let's have a conversation and I'll see you in the next one.